had a rare in-person meeting. Most business meetings were handled virtually, and that had been the standard for a couple of 100 years. That was what allowed Burke to live in his mountain retreat while running his far-flung businesses. He had never met most of his direct reports. Of course, he had his own auto drone for traveling. It was comfortable to a distance of 1,000 miles or so. For longer than that, he took a suborbital ballistic out of Seattle, which only took a few hours to get to anywhere else on the planet. Most of his needs for food and supplies were met by deliveries by autodrone, and a small staff ran the house. His wife, Martha Stern, traveled more. She was away now, in fact, often with her friends. Burke was more of a loner, and something of a workaholic. Still, an in-person meeting was something of a treat. Burke's appointment today was with Bernd Decker. Decker was a computer software innovator and executive. He had made a fortune with several successive startups, spinning up a good idea and then selling it off, keeping a part of the stock in each of the transactions. Most had done very well, and Decker had done very well indeed. At such a young age, Decker was 34, it was a tremendous accomplishment. Part of the reason Burke had taken the in-person meeting, on which Decker had insisted, is that Burke had absolutely no idea what Decker wanted to talk to him about. Most of Burke's meetings were drearily predictable, and this one wasn't. At all. Burke's curiosity had overcome his natural tendency to reject meetings for which no agenda was forthcoming, and he looked forward to meeting Decker. Decker was at that moment in a rented autodrone heading east from Seattle, the big port city that was the administrative center of Washington. It was a couple of hours out to Burke's estate, and he spent the time reviewing what he knew about Burke. It was Burke's father who had been the big push behind moving his heavy industry to the moon. They weren't the only big manufacturing industries there now, but Burke's father had been first. He had been a true visionary. That effort had taken almost half a century, and the insane expense of it had almost bankrupted the elder Burke a couple of times. He had pressed on, and so had the younger Burke after health issues had forced his father to step down from the day-to-day management of their multiple companies. Ultimately, the whole thing had paid off handsomely. The younger Burke was now in his early 60s, but he had persisted in carrying out his father's long-range project. It was that ability to initiate and carry through on long, multi-generation projects that interested Decker and the Burke family. He was counting on it. His review complete, Decker settled back to enjoy the view as the autodrone flew through the passes in the mountains, seeking out the denser air at the lower altitudes. It was a much different world than the hustle and bustle of Seattle. Seattle had been rebuilt out of the city, along with Portland and Vancouver had been largely destroyed in the big Cascadia quake of 2158. The excellent harbor was just too useful to abandon the site, even with the volcano of Mount Rainier on one side and the Cascadia Fault on the other. The city had built back better, without all the unreinforced masonry buildings that had doomed the old city. While they were at it, they had built huge channels and walls to steer the lahars that would be the natural result of a Rainier eruption. As the largest city on the northwest coast of North America, Seattle had been the natural choice for the administrative capital of Washington after the Great Restructuring of 2087, which had reorganized North America into 10 administrative regions. Its status as a government center was another spur to the rebuilding of the city after the quake 70 years later. Seattle now, in 2224, was a bustling modern metropolis. So this wild mountainous terrain was a big change of pace for Decker, and he enjoyed rubbernecking the rest of the way to Burke's retreat. Burke stood inside the heavy glass door watching the autodrone come in for a landing on the drone pad that doubled as a terrace. When the drone shut down, he walked out onto the terrace. Decker got out of the machine. "Mr. Decker, I presume," Burke said. "Yes. Hello, Mr. Burke. Thank you for meeting with me," Decker said as he walked up. The two tapped forearms, making an X in the common greeting. Decker had read that people used to shake hands before that was determined to be a major disease vector. Such a thing now was unthinkable. Customs had changed. "Come along in, Mr. Decker," Burke said, showing the younger man into his office, adjacent to the terrace and looking out over the defile below. "Please, call me Bernd. And you should call me Ted." Burke waved Decker to the seating arrangement by the windows and they sat. The housekeeper had set out cookies and drinks on the coffee table. "So, Bernd, I am more than a little curious about what would bring you all the way out here for an in-person meeting. We are not involved."